Hello, guys, and welcome to the new week of your Python and API development course. In the previous week, you have learned the fundamentals of Python programming and basics of Python programming that you will be using to build your own APIs using Fast API framework. Fast API is a framework that is used to build APIs, but before getting into that, you should know what is an API. So, in this video, we will be learning about the introduction to the APIs and some basic concepts of API, why API is there and why it is used so much, why it is demanding in the industry right now. That all we will be looking at, and the basic working of an API. Now, the first question is, what is an API? The full form of API is Application Programming Interface. If you look at it from the wordings, Application Programming Interface, it's a programmed interface between different applications. So, API is a protocol or a bridge between two programs or more than two programs or applications that tells them how to communicate between each other. Let's take a very basic example. When you were a kid, you were made learn how to speak, what to speak, and whom to speak, right? That's what API does to programs. It tells the program that what to send data, how to send data, and whom to send data, which program to send data. This includes the validation of data, the validation of type of the data, everything. So when two programs that are independently working, they try to communicate with each other, they need a API between them. These APIs are developed by us developers. Now, these are programmed APIs. That means we can alter the working of APIs using programming. And this programming is done to authorize, validate, and provide a medium between two applications to work seamlessly and communicate data. Let's just take an example of two people talking to each other. Let's say you and your friend talking to each other about a particular topic. Let's say your college. Okay. Now, if you both are talking about your college, what is the first thing that comes to your mind is what to say, right? What to say that your mind interprets and then you speak it. Now, if you both are standing in front of each other, you will be communicating via speech. If you are sitting at your home, then you might be communicating over call or you might be communicating over text, WhatsApp, direct message, anything. Similarly, APIs can be of different types and different form where it is specified how to communicate. Like if you are standing in front of each other, you won't be texting each other, right? You will be speaking to each other because that's defined. That's a protocol. That's a that's an instruction that is set in your mind that if we both are face to face, then we need to speak to communicate. Similarly, if you are sitting at your home, you are over text, then you will use text to communicate because that's the protocol set. Similarly, APIs define a protocol between two programs that how they should communicate. So these APIs, application programming interface, they act as a bridge between two different applications. Let's take an example. Now let's come to the programming part. Let's take an example. You developed an app. Okay, it takes an input, manipulates the data, and gives an output. Similarly, your friend developed a different app that takes a different input, manipulates data differently, and gives a different output. So these both applications are independent to each other. They don't work together. They are not interoperable. They can't be operated connected to each other, right? But now let's say a person comes to you and says that I want an application that takes the input as your application is taking and gives the output as your friend's application is providing. So now what he or she is asking you to do is to make another new application that has functionality of your and your friend's application both connected together. Now, as a programmer, if you don't know about API, what you will do is you will start hard coding everything again. But if you know about API, then you know that these two independently working applications can be connected together via these API. Now, these APIs, what you need to do is while connecting these two independently working applications together is First, you need to define protocols, that how the output of your application should be feeded to the application of your friend's program, and how these data should be transferred. What is the return that you should get from these data? What is the output that you should to get from these data? That you can define by yourself, and then you can just implement this API between these two independently working applications and make them integrated together. So you didn't need to hard code all the program again, code the application again. What you just did was connect these two applications, made them communicate to each other by defining some protocols. So this was the basics of API. That what is an API? It is just a protocol, a bridge between two different independently working applications that helps them to communicate either way, right? Now, next question that comes to our mind is, what is the purpose of API and what are the benefits of API? Why are we learning about API? What are APIs doing to the industry? How is API? Why is API so important to the industry? So the sole purpose of API is just to connect two independently working applications so that no hard coding and no hard coding and reusability of code can be applied, eliminating these hard coding and redundancy of code. The purpose of API is to make new applications over existing working models, to build different things rather than implementing those models again and then working over them. Now, what are the benefits of an API? So, benefits of an API comes when comes to our mind. First come first is, as I said, that it serves as a bridge between two software, two applications that allows them to exchange the data, share the resources, and collaborate. The second benefit can be if I say the primary purpose of API is to enable integration and interoperability between two different applications. What it means is that APIs, what they do is they integrate and make independent applications interoperable. What interoperability means is two different applications, when they work together on a particular data set, on a particular input, these two applications are working together, even though they were independent at first. But now, as they are connected via an API, they can work together, they can operate together. That is, they are interoperable. So when we implement API, what we do is we make applications integrated to each other and interoperable between each other. Now, the API, another benefit is it is a standardized and efficient way of developing more solutions over pre-built solution. What it means is, let me give you an example. Let's say you are developing an app for a person who wants to know the weather of his or her present location. Okay, now you don't need to code everything of getting the location, then getting the weather information. You don't need to code about that. What you can do is you can directly implement API of an application that is using the phone's GPS to get the current location. Then you can implement another API that takes this current location and provides you the weather of this location, weather forecast of this location. So now what you did was, you didn't hard coded everything, every application, every functionality again. You don't needed the to know the implementation of that particular functionality. You can directly use that functionality via API. The first functionality was to get the location using GPS. Now you might not know that how to get these locations via GPS, but someone has already built a solution for that, like Google Maps and any other APIs are there that have built this solution to get the current location using GPS. So now what you can do is you can just uh, define a protocol, or you can just code an API, which is you can just build a bridge between that person's mobile phone and that particular software or application, so that it will take the GPS access of the person's mobile and will provide you with the location. Now you can build another API that takes this location as the input and provides this input or this location to another software that tells you the weather forecast of this location. Now that software or application will return you the weather forecast. So what the person will see is, as soon as he entered the app, he got the current weather forecast of the location where he is presently right now. But what you did was, you didn't coded everything. You just build a protocol between two different independently working applications. One was to give the location, and other was to give the weather forecast. You just built a protocol, a bridge, a framework between these two independently working application, and made them use to get the data that you wanted. So APIs, what they foster is, they foster collaboration and innovations by enabling us, people like us, the developers, to build solutions, new solutions over new applications over already existing platforms or existing softwares. Now, next thing is, now we understood the purpose and benefits of it. Now, I will show you that how APIs are being used in the industry right now. So I've taken example of some most of the popular apps that you might be using, your friend might be using. First is Instagram. So let's take example of the Instagram. You and your friends communicating over Instagram. You have totally different data on your application. Your friend has totally different data on his application or her application. That is his followers, his feed, his reels, his stories, everything different. Similarly, you have your stories, your feed, your application different. Now, these two independent, when you send a text message, they communicate. You both can communicate. How? Using APIs. When you type a message and press the send button, what it does it tells the server of the Instagram that person one wants to send message to person two. And what server will do is, it will take the message, it will authorize that whether this person 2 is a follower or following is connected to the person 2 or not. And I mean, the person 1 is connected to the person 1 or not. If it is so, then what it will do is, it will authorize you, it will check that the request was validated and true or not. And if it validates your request, what it will do is, it will send your message to the second person. All this is achieved through APIs. So here two APIs were used. First, to communicate between you and server, and second, to communicate between server and your friend. So these two APIs were implemented between these this pathway, and what it did was, connected you and your friend over Instagram, where both of your apps were working independently. Similarly, Facebook, if you see Facebook, you post anything over Facebook, your friend can see it, your friend can like it. As soon as they like or comment, you get a notification that they have liked or they have commented something, right? How it is achieved is using APIs. All the different independently working profiles are connected to server, and this server is again connected to every profile. So whenever anything happens over Facebook, like a post is done or a comment is done or a post is liked, then the server notifies that person that this is done. Someone has liked your photo, someone has commented on your post. So these all communication are done using APIs. Similarly, if I take example of Twitter, which was in news right now too much. So if I take the example of Twitter, Twitter is to tweet something. People can retweet your tweet. As soon as they retweet, you get a notification that someone retweeted. As soon as they comment or they write anything on your tweet, you get a notification. Again, same API connection. Now, one of the major validating and authorizing API is of PayPal. What PayPal is doing is, it is a application that fosters international transfer of money. Now, when it's about transfer of money and all that, it needs a lot of validation and verification. So these APIs, what PayPal is has built, or the protocol the PayPal has built, is seemingly very different from any other APIs because it needs many layers of validation and authorization. So whenever you transfer a money to your friend who is sitting in America or Australia, anywhere, it first validates that do your bank account has that much money that you are trying to send. Then it validates that have the transfer from your account to PayPal's account is successful or not. If it's successful, then it validates that whether you are the one who is trying to send money. uh, then it verifies that your friend is a true valid person or not. Then it verifies the transfer. Then the transfer is made. Again, some validation at your friend side will be done. This validation includes validating that your transfer, the money you transferred, has successfully gone to your friend's PayPal account or not. And then when he will retrieve it from the PayPal, then again it is checked that whether the money has received to his or her bank account or not. Now, all these verification and validations are between different applications. Like when the money has been transferred from your bank to the PayPal account, your bank is working independent. Your bank has different data set, whole different working. Your PayPal account has different data set, whole different working. Now, when the money transfer takes place, an API is being implemented between bank server and the bank server and the your PayPal server. And what it does is it checks whether your bank account has done the transaction successfully or not, and whether the money is received in your PayPal account or not. Similarly, at your friend side, same bank, same type of API is implemented between your friend's PayPal account server and the bank, his or her bank server. Uh, just before I gave you an example of an software solution that's taking the location of a person using the GPS, that is done by Google Maps. So Google Maps, what it is doing is it is taking your phone's data, your phone's GPS location, your phone's geolocation, and mapping it over Google Maps and trying to tell you the pathway to your destination. Now, how it is doing that? Using API. Similarly, if you know about Amazon, obviously you might have ordered different things from Amazon. As soon as you order something, the seller is notified that someone has ordered. Now you need to pack it, you need to ship it. Our delivery person will come and he will take the package from you, and then the package will be delivered to the customer. Now, how this is done? You have different Amazon app. Your seller has different Amazon app. They both are working independently. Again, they are connected via API. Now, you all might be using ChatGPT a lot these days. This ChatGPT is totally working on API. How? Whenever you type a query on ChatGPT, what it does is it sends your query to the server. It validates that you are logged in or not. If you are logged in, then what it does, it performs the natural language model that is built of the chat gpt to give the solution to your problem. Then it returns to you again. Now the chat gpt server is whole different. You sitting on your mobile or laptop commanding chat gpt to give you the answer is whole different device, different application. These both are connected via API, via a bridge, where you are asking question, it is replying you with answer. So these both are connected together via a bridge. That bridge is API. So that's how the real world, some real world examples of APIs where APIs are in action right now, presently.